In this video, I'm going to show you how you can replace your paycheck with passive income, how you can get your first passive income asset, utilize the best strategies to maximize cash flow, and what you can do with that passive income. See, this strategy's created over $10,000 a month in passive income for my family and for many of my clients too. This is a video I wish I had when I first started my financial freedom journey many years ago. So if you're ready, let's jump in. Now, most people think financial freedom comes after retirement, and I'm here to show you that it can happen within the next 12 months if you're willing to put the work in. So the first step is getting your first property. Now, every wealthy person that I've studied or talked to, they have one thing in common, and that is real estate. But you don't need to have millions to start. See, my first deal certainly wasn't fancy. It was just strategic. And so how you're going to do that is you're going to go on to Zillow.com and you're going to look for a property that has a few key things that I want you to look for. The first thing is you want to look at a property that, number one, has great parking. Now, yes, I like to think that you could park in the driveway. That's great. But for this particular strategy, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to be able to look and see, can we park out front? Can we add parking if needed? I like to look, could we have about 7 to 10 cars parked there safely and without disturbing my neighbors? The biggest thing is we don't want to disturb any of our neighbors. Why? Because we want to make sure our property has zero problems with it. So parking is key. Next thing I look for is I'm looking for a property that has about 2,000 square feet or more. I can go a little bit less, but the whole key is I'm looking for a property that has a lot of space, 4 to 5 bedrooms, 2 to 3 baths. I would prefer 3. You can always add a third bathroom if you would like. However, I want to make sure that it has some open spaces, like in the basement, where I can go ahead and create additional bedrooms. That's part of the strategy I'm going to talk about in step 2. But what you're looking for is roughly anywhere from 6 to maybe 9 bedrooms that you can have in the place. And I'm looking at, can I convert the basement into a couple bedrooms? Can I take the living room and convert it into a bedroom? These are going to be some key elements that you want to look for because it's important when you're running your numbers. In fact, let's start looking at, how do I run my numbers? You want to make sure you're in a price point that A, you can afford, but B, you can actually cover your mortgage and cash flow. So here's what you're going to look at. First, you want to know what's your mortgage, property taxes, and insurance going to cost you. That is key. You also want to look at see how much are the utilities going to run. And you want to budget a little bit more if you're going to have more people living in the property. Once you have that number, that is your total monthly expense number. Now we're going to say, okay, for example, if I could fit 8 bedrooms into this property, what would be the average rent that you could charge for the property? And how you can go and look that up is you could go to Facebook Marketplace, you could go to roommates.com and see what are these rooms renting for in your area, right? Because what's really important is you want to make sure that you're getting a solid average for each bedroom so you can anticipate how much income you have coming in. Because all your cash flow, when you buy this first property, cash flow comes down to 2 things: income versus expenses, right? Now, there's a couple other expenses you're going to want to have in there, like property management. If you're not willing to manage the property, you're going to look at some maintenance, a couple $100 a month in maintenance, maybe like $200 a month. That's what I like to budget. And that's what I've seen for my properties. You're going to look at some vacancy. Now, I'm not big on including vacancy, but the point for that is that you can calculate that and break that up throughout the year so you can know what your numbers are. But I like to know, hey, am I getting what I'm paying for? Am I getting the cash flow I'm looking for? For example, my wife and I, our last project, we bought a 5-bedroom, 2-bath house. Then we converted it into an 8-bedroom, 3-bath house. We're renting it out for just a little bit above $800 a month, and all 8 rooms are filled. After we pay our mortgage, expenses, cleaning, what we're looking at is about $3,500 a month in cash flow. So is this possible? Absolutely. Do I have clients that are doing it? Yes. As I record this, I actually have 2 clients under contract right now for their next deal. Now, I know what you're thinking.
Joe, I don't have the money.
And there's a few solutions for you when it comes to this. The first one is you could actually partner with someone. Someone can bring in the down payment money so that you can pay the down payment with that money, and you guys could split it whatever percentage, usually 50-50. You do the work, you make sure you run the property, and they don't have to do all that because they brought the capital. That's the first thing. Another strategy is you can buy the property for 3.5% down, and then after about a year, you can turn around and make that a rental. It will skew your timeline, but it is an option. You can go get another property with 3.5% down, turn this one into a rental, and make it happen. But what I see a lot of my clients doing is they might pull from, an investment portfolio that they have where they're not really getting a high return on that portfolio, so they're using that as a down payment. Now, you could do all that, but you're going to look at putting around 20% down. Some lenders, they will allow you to go ahead and only have to put 10% down. But most on average are looking for 20% down. Now, I had a DSCR loan. What that is a debt coverage service ratio loan. So basically, they're going to say, how much is this property worth? They're going to look at that. They're going to say, how much could they rent it out long-term for? And let's just say it could rent out for $2,800 a month long-term. Your mortgage has to be less or equal to that amount of money at $2,800. This way, they will service a loan if you put 20% down on that loan. With that, some people, they like to use that DSCR because they only have to put 20% down and they don't have to worry about qualifying personally for it based on their income, their debt to income ratio. They can just worry about, does it cover the property's numbers? Now, if the property is, let's say, bringing in $6,500 a month, and with all the underwriting that you did, you're bringing around $3,000 a month that it's going to cost you for that property. Now you can sit back and say, wow, I'm going to cash flow $3,500 a month with this one property, which leads us to step 2, rent by the room. So once you close, what you're going to want to do is, with all that open space, you want to go ahead and put up walls to create additional bedrooms. So like in my example, I put 2 bedrooms downstairs in the basement, and I turned the living room into a bedroom. It's really easy to get a contractor in there to frame up the wall, put the door in, sheetrock it, tape mud, and paint it. It's not hard. Yes, you want to get an electrician in there to make sure the lighting's proper and that there's proper outlets. And so you want to make sure that you have everything that you need for that tenant to be comfortable in their room. Now, the reason why you want to be able to do that is because you can actually 10x your cash flow, like the example I said. So instead of having a single long-term tenant, you rent out each room. I wouldn't do it with college students. I would do it with working professionals. But for my property, we do working professionals, and that allows us to cash flow over $3,500 a month with that property. And why I actually like rent by the room better is because you pay single family pricing, but you're getting multifamily returns where you're making 10x the amount of cash flow. Now, you might be thinking, well, that doesn't seem fair to the tenants. Well, one thing you got to look at is if they were buying a studio or renting a studio apartment in your local area, how much would it cost? I know in my area, it's about $1,200-$1,300 a month for a studio apartment, plus utilities, plus internet, and they're looking at about $1,500. So I can save my tenants anywhere from 30 to 60% on their living expenses. For their housing budget, I'm saving them that amount of money. So instead of paying $1,500, they're only paying $800 on average. So not only are you saving your tenant about 50% or more on their living expenses, but you're also cash flowing as the property owner. So it's a win-win for everyone. And here's one thing I like to do is I hire a cleaner twice a month to come clean a place so that the common areas and the bathrooms are always clean for them and that they feel comfortable, they feel safe living in this place. Plus, it's an awesome way for people to connect with each other. When I was a single guy living in San Diego, I actually did this model. I just didn't own the property. I wish I did because I would have benefited immensely, but it was really cool to make great friends that moved in. And yeah, sometimes people don't always get along, and that's going to happen. But most of the time, what I found is most people, they get along. They love the property. They love the people that are in it. and it just makes it seem like a warm, friendly, co-living space. All right, step 3 is we want to reinvest our cash flow. You own the property, you got it full, you're cash flowing each month, you're helping your tenants save money and have really cool, epic experience with other roommates. But now you have a pile of cash that's starting to build up month after month. So what do you do with it? Now you're going to want to take that extra cash and reinvest that into a new property. Now, yes, it's going to take a little bit of time, but what that's going to do is going to allow you to have another property that you can start to cash flow on, where your tenants are paying down your mortgage, you're able to have your property depreciate on your taxes, and hopefully over the years you're creating more appreciation, because real estate usually goes up over the long haul. So I know the example I'm using with my property bringing in $3,500 a month is not always going to be the case for everyone. I would say that if you can get $1,000 a month or more, you're winning in the cash flow game. But if you're cash flowing $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 a month, start to calculate how much money do you need in order to replace your paycheck? Because some of you only need about 2 properties, 2, to replace your paycheck. If you're a family, you might need 3, maybe 4 on a monthly basis to replace your income. But if you bought 1 property a year, just hypothetically saying, think about it. For most of us, within 4 years, you could be able to walk away from your paycheck, from that full-time job, and be able to step into passive income that pays your bills every single month, your lifestyle every single month. Now, I know a lot of you are thinking that that's great that it's working for you, Joe, but what about other people? I have multiple clients that are doing it. I have multiple people in my network, in my communities that are doing it. There are hundreds of people around the country that are utilizing this strategy right now that's creating passive income for them, allowing them to become financially free. I'll tell you, it does take work, but the benefits of cash flowing far outweigh the work that you put in. And to be honest, my wife and I, we only put about 30 minutes a week, if that, into managing our co-living property. If you want to start your passive income journey today, go ahead in the description and click the link below so that you can see how you can walk that path to creating passive income so you and your family can become financially free.